Hey guys, Greg. I intended to start this video to explain why I took down the lunar video, but oh my God, right now my foot, I think I broke my foot, dislocated my shoulder, trying to, uh, I was just talking with Matt at Quantum of Conscious on the phone, and I was telling him that I actually have a Carpenters album. It was the Carpenters back in the day. But now, for some reason, it's just Carpenters. And I was telling him I actually have an album from '72, and the album cover just says Carpenters. Well, I was actually bringing it in here to make a video, to show you regarding Mandela effect. And I was looking at the album jacket cover, the dust jacket, whatever you want to call it, and caught my foot on the table, and I know I've broken 3 toes at least. But I fell, and now I've broken my evidence. You see this crack right here? The album is actually broken too now, so it's useless now, damn it. Let's see if I can get this close enough for you to see the 1972 on it. I don't know if I can get that close or not. It's should be good grief. Sorry, it's taking me a while. You should be able to see it there somewhere. Anyway, and as you can see, if I can get it straight enough, there we go. At the top, even the album says Carpenters, where it should say The Carpenters. We were kind of talking about noticing that, and I'm going to show this one more time. Sorry, it's this camera, I'm not used to which way it goes, so anyway. That's a Mandela effect. I don't know why I was privileged enough to see the lunar eclipse, and I have no idea why the Wizard of Oz thing changed on me. Have no idea why. Well, I don't know why my particular pictures of the VW logo that I took in 2010 didn't change, but the logo has changed. I went out this past Christmas morning and changed that. Also, I need to make a correction. In that video I was talking about, I was trying to avoid thinking about Angela, my fiance, who I lost. At that Christmas, I said that was the first Christmas. Actually, it was the second Christmas after she passed away, but I was so bothered and tore up in 2016, I didn't participate in my mom's Christmas breakfast that time. I couldn't do it, so I'm sorry. I just couldn't do it in 2016, so 2017 was my first Christmas back, and that's why I said it was the first Christmas without Angela. So just in case that gets confused, I guess I should have explained that then. But if you happen to see it, I don't think many people saw it. I put up a video about where I had worked out an Excel sheet with all the math on the lunar, why the solar eclipse totality, Moon is 2,159 miles in diameter and only casts a 70-mile shadow. And I had set up the math for a worksheet on uh, why the lunar eclipse, we don't see that. We don't see a totality, which should be 256 miles on the lunar surface, and then you might have the reddish hue, I don't know, but you should see a dark spot of 256 miles if all things being equal. And I'm not being arrogant when I say this or bragging when I say this, but I know my math, I know my geometry, I know my trig, I know my algebra. That was part of my job. I had to know it. So, and then I had extra skills from side interest as far as programming and computer programming. So I had to know, I need my math for that as well. And anyway, that I'm not being arrogant, but just that I know how, when you say this is this way, but yet you have another event that's similar or that's the same thing, it's just, it should produce the same result. So all things being equal, if a 2159 mile object produces 70 miles, a 17 mile object should produce 256. So, this is this is that. But anyway, I'll do one later on where I go ahead and work the math out and then show you as I do, as the math is being done. It's just basic algebra is all it is. It's a formula I used to use for pulleys with speed to find out the speed of a pump. If I've got a motor with a 6-inch pulley running 1,000 RPMs and it's got a belt attached to a 3-inch pulley on a pump, then that's running 2,000 RPMs. That's just the way it works. So it's just a regular algebraic formula, all things being equal. So want to talk quick about we were talking about 9/11, and on the second tower, imagine you're in New York City and you're working, you're in an apartment building. I mean, my God, how many people can see that tower? Okay, imagine you're in New York City and the first tower's already burning and whatnot. Are you going to be working and doing your work, or are you going to be watching that event? You're going to be watching that event, and how many sets of eyes? And nobody had cell phones that could record at that time, no, but people were at home that did have the little small 8mm cameras. I mean, hell, I've had 8mm cameras with the little 8mm cassette. So there's more footage, and it seems like anybody that has footage of that event would be trying to sell that to the news or to somewhere. But yet we only see 4 or 5 different views, 4 or 5 different video angles of that. I mean, are you serious? Where's everybody else? Should be plenty I mean, tons of video footage of that stuff, of that one event, but we don't ever see any of that. We just have those one, those three or four, five, and the Nade brothers, who did the documentary, who were supposedly with the fire department sniffing gas that morning. They just happened to be in the right place at the right time to video the first plane. No, no, I don't believe in that shit. No, that's too big a coincidence. And you've got Bush talking about saw the first plane hit, but nobody had saw the first plane hit yet. Nobody had ever even known there was footage of the first plane. That didn't come out until the next day. But he's at this town hall meeting or whatever, and he's talking about that day he saw the first plane hit, and he's thinking to himself, there's a terrible pilot. Yeah, okay, really. They obviously had the TV on in the back room. That's what he said. So that automatically right there is a lie. Nobody calls him on that. And don't get me wrong, I'm as conservative as can be. But I don't believe that Bush, Cheney, even Trump, I don't believe that they're running this world or this country. I just don't. And right now we got Republican House, Senate, presidency, and nothing happens. Nothing's changed. What's changed? Is anything being done? No. We were talking about, it seemed like the 70s and that's another thing. And I'm not, now there are exceptions, so if you're younger or older, please don't get offended. But it seems like the only people that see this stuff, are Gen X. Anyone between, say, 40, 45, and maybe 55 and 60. Seems like we're the only ones that see this stuff. But we were talking about the 70s and the 80s. Everything made sense then, and I told him that everybody just loves Reagan. Reagan could, even today, he could do no wrong. Well, he did do wrong. The Iran-Contra affair. Oliver North just took the fall for everything. But do you think that Oliver North's the one that was involved in all that shit? No. Reagan did that. But even then, nobody cared. Nobody was that. Politics weren't so out of control that anybody cared at that time. And it was like the 70s and the 80s were the best of times. Life made sense. You didn't question anything. Nothing changed on you. The Carpenters didn't become just Carpenters. The Wizard of Oz, the Scarecrow didn't have a pistol. The Lion didn't have a gigantic bug sprayer. The Tin Man didn't have a pipe wrench. The Witch said, "Fly, my little pretties." And when Interview with a Vampire came out in the early, everything seems like it ties back to when the internet began. It just all started going to hell from there. It's like then they forced us to make us change into digital only. digital only broadcast. When it used to be analog and only so many frames per second, now they can do whatever, 1080 frames. Who knows what the hell they're putting in between each frame to, program or brainwash certain zombie masses that we know of. For some reason, I don't seem to get brainwashed quite as much. And maybe it's like Matt said in his last video, Quantum Conscious. Maybe it's like he said, maybe even I am getting brainwashed to a certain level, but just not quite as bad as the zombie masses are. Who knows? I just know that I see this stuff, and my dad, this is what he finally kind of, I think I really pushed him over the edge. He kind of tried to describe to me what me trying to tell him the truth about stuff is like. He equated me to the obnoxious type insurance salesman, the one that you go to dinner with and he tries to sell you home or life insurance, or every time you see him he's trying to sell you life insurance or whatever. And he said that's basically kind of what I'm doing. So I don't know if that's what you experience when you try to tell people, or if you try to awaken people to, and my brother thinks that I should be locked up. I need to be in a mental hospital because I do not, this is the reason, I don't believe they landed on the moon. I need to be in a mental hospital because I don't believe they landed on the moon. Now, this is something that he thinks I need to be locked up for, but he can't prove that they did land on the moon. I can't prove they didn't. I just don't believe they didn't. But he can't prove they landed on the moon. Yet, it's always based on truth is popular opinion. That's what it comes down to. Popular opinion. What most people think, what most people believe, whatever the popular narrative is, that's what truth is. And if you go outside of that, you are mental. And, Matt uses a graduated animal farm analogy, and I like to use the nature preserve type analogy. They know that animals that live in the zoo know they're captive, and they don't seem quite as happy, or quite themselves. They don't act like animals normally would. But you take a gigantic, nature preserve, and you put these animals on it where they never see the fences, they don't know they're captive, and they act normal. They're happy. So I think what it is we just know there's a fence there, or we've gotten past the fence. Even though there's another fence out there that we can't see yet. We haven't quite got there yet. We're still walking that way. But we've gotten past the first fence. But if you try to tell somebody that's in the other fence, you go back through and you tell them that they live, they're just living in a place that's just basically a prison or a zoo that's just a little bigger and they can't see, you're out of your damn mind. So What are you gonna do? Damn, my foot's killing me. Mm. Uh, damn, and see, this, I can't do anything about broken toes. So, but I've broke toes so many times. I'm clumsy as hell, and now I've broke my damn record. That pisses me off. It pisses me off. But anyway, uh, I wanted to show that evidence. I was telling him about it, and he said, because I was talking about, because I can't prove that it was the Carpenters, but just because I can't prove it wasn't, that it was the Carpenters and wasn't just Carpenters, doesn't mean that this is not real, at least to me. I mean, I know it was the Carpenters, and I'm sure most of you, or some of you, know. Dadgummit. Ever since they went to these self-putting out cigarettes, and I know I shouldn't be smoking, by the way. I know it's just one of my vices, so, I'm disabled now, and I don't know if you understand what that means to a man like me, or a person like me that had his dream job and can no longer do that. That is, I went through a period of depression with that. A man needs to feel like he's contributing to something, and it's hard to not be able to. I miss getting up every morning and going and doing my job. I had my dream job. I was good at my job. But anyway, for those of you that are healthy, please appreciate your health. Don't take it for granted, because if you ever lose it, it's a big life change. Anyway, back to what I was saying. I don't even remember what I was saying now. So, okay, I'll just go ahead and end this now. So, the Carpenters. Some of you should remember that it was the Carpenters. I mean, it was the Eagles. Anything plural had the in front of it, mostly. It wasn't them G. Croce. Dang, is that even his name? He changed. Which one changed his name? Oh, Cat Stevens changed his name. Yeah. Yeah, Cat Stevens. It wasn't the Cat Stevens. So, but it was the Carpenters. Just like it was the Eagles. And, yeah, what can you do? And now I see Seinfeld's changed. It's always been SEI and FELD, and now it's SIE. That doesn't even make sense at all. I mean, every Jewish name that's got an EI in it is EI, not IE. Unless all of them have changed now. I'm just not aware that all of them have changed. But I guess I need to check that out and look it up. But I know that Seinfeld used to be SEI. So anyway, oh good grief, sorry, didn't mean to take this long with this video, but alright, till I see you again, have a good one, and please be good to everybody else.